Welcome back. Now we're going to get into our C# IDE here, and we're going to talk a little bit about structures. Now, structures in C# follow pretty much the exact same rules that they do in other languages, such as C or C++. We're just going to do a basic example of how we're going to set up a struct in the C# programming language. So the first thing that we'd like to do is start a project. So we have a place to put these files. So if you guys recall from the first series, we did file, new project, but since right now we're using the Express edition, all we have to do is do file, new project, so it's one less step. Once we're in here, we're going to do our empty project, and we will name this project structs, and then select OK. So we'll slide this out just a little bit so we could take a look at the files associated with our project. And we're going to add a new code file. And let's just call it main.cs. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All right, let's just get started off on the right spot. We'll do using system. And then we'll start off with the class. We'll just call it main class. Public static main. Function, method, whichever one you prefer to call it. Here we go. Control F5. Uh-oh, what have I done? Whoops, that's my fault. It's not main class, it's main method. Sorry about that. Looks like I was a victim of autocomplete. Public static void main method. Whew, man. Control F5. Cool. Good to go. Yeah, sorry about that. Looks like autocomplete kind of messed me up on that one, but we're good now. So, what is a struct? Basically what it is, a struct is a composite data type. So it's basically a data type that is comprised of other data types, which are called primitive data types. So what exactly does that mean? Well, if we create a struct, we are creating a variable that is housing a whole bunch of different variables inside of it. Now, this is different from a class, which classes are coming up here very soon. And we're just going to knock this one out real quick because it's kind of an easy introduction into the whole object-oriented concept. So let us declare what a struct. And then once you see it on screen, it might be a little bit easier to comprehend. So we're going to call this public, and we're going to call it a struct, and we're just going to call it names. Now we're declaring it as public because this means that our main function has access to it. And a struct is the name of the data type, and names is going to be what we're going to call it. So we have created an abstract data type. Congratulations, everybody. And after this, we're going to declare a couple of variables, and we're going to make them all public. And we're going to make the first one a string, and we're going to call it name. So now, inside of this struct called names, we have a string variable that is accessible to everybody that is called name. Let's keep moving. Public, string. We'll just do a social security number. Public string, we'll just do public int student ID public string major. So basically this is a small, let's just say, database that's going to be holding information about a single student. So we're going to have the student's name, their social security number, their ID, and their major. So let's just do Control F5, make sure everything is working okay. And our program does compile and it does execute perfectly. So once we're inside of the main method here, let's create a instance of names. So we're just going to type names, and as you guys know, names comes from this right here. So we'll do names, and we'll just call it n, and this is going to equal a new instance of names. So we've seen this kind of syntax before. So now we have a new instance of names. So how do we access it? Well, let's do n dot, and then once we push the dot, we have access to all of the public data. So we have major, name, student, social security number, and student ID. Now, just to kind of show you something, if I come up here and I make a private data type, And it's just a private int, and we'll just call it temp because we're going to get rid of it here in a second. If I do n period, I do not have access to temp. So that is the significance of declaring public and declaring private. So let's just do n dot name, and we'll make this person's name wibit. And to access this, whoops, I did a colon, it's supposed to be semicolon. We can do console dot write line, and inside here we're going to access n dot name. Oops, get rid of that. Control F5, and wibit is stored in there. So basically, inside of this n, which is the name's data type, access the variable name and name it wibit. Okay, so now that you get the whole basics of that, let's create a small little program here to just kind of mess around with this. So we'll prompt the user console.writeLine, and let's ask the user something. Let's just tell them to insert the student's name, and we'll do 2 tabs. So we'll do n.name equals console.readline, and we'll do console.writeLine, and we'll just kind of keep moving along here. Well, then we'll do students social, tab, and let's just copy this line. Now we'll just copy both of these lines to save some time. And we'll do n.ss num equals console.readline. And I'm going to scroll down here a couple of lines. Hopefully you have that copied onto your editor. And then we'll do student's ID and the student's major. So we'll change this to student's ID number. And we'll just do 1 tab for this one. And I'll even just do 1 tab for the student's social. See how that's going to look. And instead of nname.name here, we're going to change this to student's ID. Yes, let's just make sure student dot n dot student ID. And the console write line is going to have to be converted, and we're going to use the integer class, and then we're going to be using the parse function. Because it comes in from the command line as a string, we want to convert it to a number because we know that student ID is stored as an int. So int.parse is going to convert whatever is in here from a string to an integer. And the very last one that we have here is we'll do the student's major. And we'll do n dot major. Perfect. So if we do Control F5, we'll just do some crappy data here just to kind of test it out. And cool. Uh-oh, we have a crash. Oh, it's because the ID number, we didn't use numbers. It's okay. We'll worry about that in a second. Now, I kind of made a little bit of a goof. Everywhere that you see write line, make it right. So we can just do a mass change. We'll go to Edit. We'll go to Find and Replace. We'll do a quick replace. Okay, find what? We're going to look for write line. And we're going to change it to right. So it's going to be console.write. Perfect. And the reason we're going to do that is we'll run the program again. We want the name to be here. We'll do just test social 11 whatever. Doesn't really matter at the moment. Perfect. ID number 555 major computers. All right, so we got to move the major back a tab. So we'll just get rid of one of these. So now we have to access this and print it out to the user. So I'm going to scroll down just a little more. We're going to knock this out in just another minute or so. Console.writeLine. This time I want to do a write line. So let's do a new line, and then we'll do name. Yeah, let's just space out a little bit. And then plus n dot name. Plus, and then we'll come down to the next line here. Backslash n ss num colon, and we'll space out to here. Plus n dot ss num plus, and let's come down here again. Backslash n student ID plus n dot student ID plus backslash n major. Forgot my colon here. Major plus n dot major. So this is basically taking a write line command and spreading it across a couple of lines, just using the plus to concatenate everything together. So if we do Control F5, student's name, wibit.nete. Student social is going to be 00000000000. Their ID number, let's say it's just like 897456110. Look good. Student's major, computer science. And it's going to print me out that record. So the name of the student is that, their social is that, and that. Excellent. So code this and get used to this concept, and we're going to come back and we're going to develop an array of structs.